Hello and welcome to Japan Lyric Room. In this program, we explore the lyrics of Japanese songs, delivering clear explanations of their meanings and unique cultural backgrounds.
Please note that while the voices and illustrations in this video are AI generated, the project itself is run by two Japanese creators living in Japan. The script is carefully researched and written by us to provide original explanations.
So, imagine writing a song about just total psychological collapse, like the darkest, most claustrophobic parts of human dependency.
Right, yeah. That's a heavy topic.
It is. And then imagine taking those lyrics and setting them to a beat so infectious that it completely dominates the dance charts.
It's crazy.
It really is this bizarre, brilliant paradox. We're talking about Natori's track Propose, which came out in June of 2025.
Oh, yeah. Such a massive hit.
You know, you find yourself nodding your head, tapping your foot, and then you actually process the Japanese lyrics and you realize, oh wow, I am dancing to a portrait of absolute despair.
Yeah, but that contrast, it's entirely intentional. The backstory of how this track came into existence actually explains a lot of that manic energy.
Oh, I bet. Natori didn't just spend months agonizing over the production in a pristine studio, did he?
No, not at all. So the core melody actually hit him while he was simply walking home.
Oh.
He'd been out having some drinks with his staff.
Oh, wow, just walking home.
Yeah, and he experienced this intense, undeniable, now or never kind of intuition.
I love when artists talk about that feeling.
Right, so he fired up his PC at 3 in the morning, and he practically wrote the entire song in under a day.
I feel like you can actually hear that 3 a.m. hyper-caffeinated, slightly reckless energy in the track.
Oh, absolutely.
He intentionally stripped back the sound, too, right?
He did. He removed all the excess ornamentation to just let that driving melody shine. And he apparently knew instantly that it was going to be massive.
Which he was right about. But what really anchors this catchy beat is the thematic inspiration. He was deeply influenced by the manga Takopi's Original Sin.
Yes. And for listeners who haven't encountered Takopi's Original Sin, the premise is just devastating.
It really is.
It's crucial for understanding the song, honestly. It's about this naive, innocent alien named Takopi who comes to Earth. And he tries to save a young girl who is living in incredibly harsh, abusive conditions.
Right.
The alien tries to help her using these cosmic, seemingly wonderful gadgets that are designed to spread happiness.
But of course there's a catch.
Exactly. Here is the mechanism of the tragedy. The alien completely lacks any context for human malice or complex trauma or despair.
Right, so the alien might hand over a gadget intended to make people hug and make up,
Right.
But he's entirely oblivious to the fact that the girl is being ruthlessly blind.
Precisely. And because the alien applies a pure, simplistic solution to a deeply complex, dark human problem, those good intentions end up twisting the situation.
Right, making it worse.
Much worse. It leads to cruel, horrific tragedies. Pure intentions without understanding can be catastrophic.
And that sets up the entire psychological landscape of propose. I mean, when you hear the word proposal, you immediately think of, rings, bright futures.
Right, family, stability.
Exactly. But looking at Natori's lyrics against that manga's backdrop, we are dealing with a modern anthem about the distortion of love.
Yeah, it's about what happens when our romantic ideals crash into a very messy, inescapable reality.
So let's look at how Natori builds this unsettling world, phrase by phrase. Let's start with the first phrase.
In English, this translates to, "A monster in form only has grown." And the cultural nuance for this phrase is, "A hollow monster possessing only the outward form of love without its substance has grown out of control."
The concept of katachitek is just, well, it's such a crucial piece of this puzzle.
It really is.
It refers to something lacking substance, like only the outward appearance or facade remains.
Yeah.
In Japanese society, maintaining the katachi or the proper form of things is often deeply ingrained.
Like social expectations.
Exactly. You maintain the form of politeness, the form of duty, or in this specific case, the form of love.
Right.
The outward shell is perfectly maintained, but the inside has been entirely hollowed out.
Wow. Yeah.
What started as a pure desire to care for someone, much like our alien from Takopi's Original Sin trying to help the young girl, it has completely mutated.
It lost its soul.
Yes, and turned into a monster.
It's like overwatering a houseplant.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it.
Right. Your intention is purely one of care and nurturing. You just want this living thing to thrive.
Yay.
but you just keep pouring water into the soil, completely ignoring the yellowing leaves and the pooling water at the bottom until the roots literally rot away.
It's suffocating.
Exactly. The action looks like love, like the form is nurturing, but the substance has become toxic suffocation. The intention was beautiful, but the result is a destructive monster of your own making.
Yeah, and the psychological weight of realizing you have created a monster out of love, it's just completely exhausting.
Totally draining.
You are pouring all of your energy into a bottomless pit, and that specific crushing exhaustion naturally forces a breaking point in the narrative.
Which brings us to the second phrase of the song. This translates to, even the bath time where I could think, why is it always me, is fleeting. And the cultural nuance here is, even the bath time where I can indulge in the victim mentality of why me is over in a heartbeat.
The cultural context here is so vital for you, the listener, to grasp the depth of this despair.
Yeah, because if you aren't familiar with Japanese daily routines, bath time, or soaking in the ofuro, it is so much more than just physical hygiene.
Oh, absolutely. It is arguably the most sacred daily ritual in Japan.
Yeah.
Japanese homes physically separate the washing area from the soaking tub.
Right, the setup is totally different.
You scrub and clean your body outside the tub, and then you step into the hot water purely to soak.
It's meant for healing.
Yes, it is the ultimate private sanctuary for physical and mental healing. In a high-pressure society where you are constantly managing expectations and social harmony, stepping into the ofuro is the physical mechanism of just washing off your societal armor.
It is the one space where you are allowed to just exist.
Exactly.
So when the protagonist says the phrase boku baka, meaning why is it always me or why do I have to carry this burden, they are basically trying to access that safe space to just wallow for a second.
But they can't even have that.
Right.
The luxury of that self-pity is tsukunoma, meaning utterly fleeting.
It's gone instantly.
The monster they have created demands so much attention that it infiltrates the bath. They are so consumed by the situation that they cannot even catch their breath to feel sorry for themselves.
Their sanctuary is totally compromised.
Yes.
You know, I keep thinking about the musicality of the track right here.
What do you mean?
Well, does the upbeat tempo of the song actually serve as a defense mechanism for the protagonist who's too exhausted to even properly wallow in their own sadness?
Oh, wow.
Think about the last time you were just totally exhausted trying to hold a relationship together.
Yeah.
If you stop moving, if you let the silence in, you completely collapse.
Right.
So you just keep the dance beat going to avoid dealing with the quiet.
That mechanical interpretation makes perfect sense. The relentless rhythm forces them to keep moving because stopping means confronting the void.
Exactly.
But, you know, if your everyday reality, even your most quiet, private moments, becomes entirely unbearable, your survival instincts kick in.
You have to do something.
Right. You are backed into a corner, which leads to a radical, desperate reaction. You have to escalate your commitment.
And Natori captures that survival instinct perfectly in the third phrase, which is, honestly, I think the most startling line in the song.
It really is.
The phrase is, translated to English, this means, let's make the last proposal of this century. And the deeply impactful cultural nuance is, sensing the end of the world, I will make the one and only proposal of my life, the one that will likely be the last.
The word proposal is literally right in the title of the song, making it the central thesis.
Right.
But we have to look really closely at how Natori writes this phrase in Japanese. When you hear the word saigo out loud, your brain usually defaults to the kanji characters that mean simply the last in line or the final one chronologically.
Like just the end of a sequence.
Exactly. But Natori deliberately uses a different set of kanji for saigo.
Oh, really?
Yes. He uses characters that refer almost exclusively to one's dying moments, a fatal end, or an apocalypse.
Oh, wow. That is heavy.
It is. So it's not just the last proposal before the clock runs out.
It's a proposal made while standing on the edge of oblivion.
Exactly. It violently contrasts the imagery.
Yeah, because a proposal is inherently festive.
Right. It looks forward. It is about building a bright future.
Right.
By marrying the visual concept of a deathbed or the end of the world with a wedding proposal, the song alters the fundamental mechanics of the vow.
It completely changes what a proposal means.
This isn't about planning a happy life together. It is an act of sheer salvation in extreme conditions.
It is clinging to another human being while the sky collapses.
Yeah.
It's a pure survival tactic.
Yep.
If the world is ending, you just grab the person next to you and hold on tight.
Exactly.
And that leads directly into how they view their actual relationship in phrase 4.
Let's hear it.
In English, it's vague and unrefined, but I'm deeply in love. And the cultural nuance reads, Our relationship is vague and unrefined, but I am head over heels in love with you.
The slang used here paints an incredibly vivid, grounded picture of their dynamic.
Yeah, it feels very raw.
The word yabatai means awkward, uncool, muddy, or lacking in polish. And zokon is an intense, almost retro slang term for being blindly, addictively infatuated with someone. It defies all logic.
Here's where it gets really interesting for me.
Okay.
If you look at the broader music industry context here, like J-pop and K-pop, they constantly sell us this highly polished, glamorous, destined in the stars version of romance.
Oh, absolutely, the fairy tale.
Right. So by using a word like yabatai, is Natori making a deliberate, aggressive, anti-pop statement? Or is he just like writing a grounded, unfiltered reality of trauma?
I think it actually functions as both. Yeah. By actively stripping away the fairy tale glamour, he forces the listener into the messy reality of a trauma bond.
Right. This isn't a Disney movie.
No, the relationship is objectively a disaster. It is vague. It is unrefined.
Muddy, codependent, survivalist love.
Exactly. But despite the toxicity, or perhaps because the shared trauma has bonded them so intensely, they are hopelessly addicted to each other.
Wow.
They recognize that their love is ugly, but it is the only thing keeping them tethered to the earth.
But, if your love is this messy, and you are making promises at the literal end of the world, it feels like there is no place for you in normal society anymore.
You don't fit in.
Right. So the only logical next step in this progression is a complete withdrawal from reality.
Which brings us perfectly to the ultimate form of escapism in phrase 5.
Okay, phrase 5 is, this translates to, let's escape together to some unknown star. And the cultural nuance captures that intense desperation, quote, let's escape from this harsh reality to a distant world where no one knows us, just the two of us.
This line is a brilliant, direct callback to the alien origins of the Takopi manga we discussed earlier.
Right, the cosmic motif.
It evokes the imagery of an alien planet. But on a psychological level, I want to focus on the mechanics of the word nigamashu, which means let's escape.
Okay.
Notice what is completely absent from this sentiment.
There's no mention of fixing anything.
Exactly. There is no desire to stay and fight.
Right.
There is no plan to sit down, communicate, and solve their deeply rooted problems.
It's just running away.
This isn't about repairing the relationship or improving their standing in the world. It is about abandoning reality entirely.
Oh, wow.
It is the belief that if they can just amputate themselves from the context of this painful society, their toxic dynamic will somehow become healthy.
It's closing your eyes, putting your hands over your ears, and just hoping the monsters go away.
Yes.
But of course, the great tragedy of escapism is that wherever you go, there you are.
You can't leave yourself behind.
Right, you pack your unresolved pain right into your suitcase. And that realization that you cannot actually outrun your own mind completely shatters the protagonist in phrase 6.
Let's examine that breaking point.
Phrase 6 is, translation, what is happiness? Difficult things, I don't know. And the specific cultural nuance here is the definition of happiness is just too difficult. I don't have a clue.
The tonal shift in the delivery of this line is just profound.
Yeah, it's different.
Up until now, there has been a desperate kind of poetry to the lyrics, but the phrase wakane, it is rough.
Very rough.
It is highly colloquial, slangy, and delivered with a throwing in the towel kind of energy.
Like they just gave up.
It is the audible sound of a human brain short-circuiting.
It's the ultimate tragic irony of their entire journey, isn't it? Yeah. You start with this pure intention to love someone, to save them, to water the houseplant.
Right.
But the harder you try to do the right thing, the more you end up getting hurt and suffocating them.
It backfires completely.
Yeah, eventually, when your actions consistently yield the exact opposite of your intentions, the very concept of happiness loses all meaning.
It just dissolves.
It becomes an abstract, alien metric that you can't even comprehend anymore.
When the foundational definitions of your life collapse, happiness is no longer a goal you can strive for.
Right.
It transforms into a difficult, convoluted puzzle that you simply lack the cognitive energy to solve. You just throw your hands up. Wakane.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it brings us to the final, heartbreaking realization of the song.
Yes.
The ultimate tragedy is that even if you abandon society, even if you escape to an unknown star, you cannot escape the fundamental, impenetrable barrier between two human minds.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, exactly, phrase 7 highlights this perfectly.
Right, phrase 7 is,
Translation is, I just don't understand you at all anymore.
the more I long to understand you, the more I realize I don't understand you at all.
When you hear, I don't understand you anymore, in English at least, it sounds like the classic preamble to a breakup.
Right.
It sounds like the moment someone gives up and walks out the door.
It does sound like a rejection, but that is the deepest deception of the lyric. It is not a rejection at all.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it is the absolute agonizing limit reached by someone who is desperately trying to merge their soul with the person they love.
Oh.
They have poured every ounce of their energy into trying to become one with their partner, to comprehend every corner of their mind, and they have slammed headfirst into the inescapable barrier of human existence.
It's the realization that no matter how much you love someone, you can never actually share one mind.
Precisely.
It's like trying to perfectly mix water and oil together.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it.
You take a bottle, you put them both in, and you shake it violently, and for a second, it looks like they've blended into one thing, right?
That they haven't.
Exactly. Eventually, they separate. You realize the other person is a distinct entity. You can never fully become one with them.
Yeah, the physics just won't allow it.
Which just leaves you with this unimaginably complex mix of, like, deep love and deep emptiness.
That is a phenomenal way to visualize it. The closer you try to pull someone into your own existence, the more the friction of your individual differences becomes apparent.
Right.
The protagonist hits that barrier. They realize the other person is a distinct entity with a mind they can never fully inhabit.
It leaves you entirely hollowed out, which, wow, that brings us full circle to the hollow monster we started with.
It does.
The lyrical journey Natori takes us on here is incredibly tight. But I know you mentioned there is also a layer of phonetic wordplay hiding under the surface of the track.
Yes, there is. And it ties this all together beautifully. The rhymes Natori uses aren't just there to serve the bouncy rhythm of the dance beat.
Oh, they do.
They serve the psychological theme. Throughout the track, he deliberately rhymes words with opposing emotional meanings.
Oh, interesting. Like what?
Well, for instance, he rhymes sata, which means left or departed, with the word aseta, meaning panicked.
Okay, yeah.
And he also rhymes aitakata, which translates to wanted to meet, with sudota, meaning gathered.
So he is phonetically forcing these opposing concepts into the exact same space?
Precisely. By locking these words together in rapid-fire succession, he symbolizes the razor-thin line between connection and isolation.
Wow.
The linguistic structure itself mirrors how closely intertwined happiness and unhappiness really are.
It really paints a picture of the human condition, doesn't it?
It really does.
I mean, despite knowing all of this, despite knowing that building a life with someone might result in a hollow mansion,
Yeah?
despite knowing that we might end up terrified in a bathtub, and despite the absolute certainty that we can never fully merge our minds with another human being, we still do it.
We do.
Humans possess this beautiful, foolish, incredibly precious urge to try. We still want to make vows. We still want to propose, even if the world is ending around us.
It is an irrational impulse, but it is deeply human. And, to capture that entire spectrum of the human experience within a 3-minute chart-topping pop song is just a testament to Natori's artistry.
It really makes you reconsider the media you consume daily. I mean, next time you are at a club or listening to the radio and you find yourself nodding along to an upbeat, infectious dance track, take a moment to look at the lyrics. Ask yourself what kind of monster might be hiding just beneath that catchy rhythm.
That's a great question to leave off on.
Thank you so much for listening. We feature various Japanese songs and provide detailed explanations on our website. Please check the link in the description to explore more. If you enjoyed this program, please subscribe to our channel and let us know your thoughts or song requests in the comments. See you next time. This was Japan Lyric Room.